Pictures can speak volumes. Today we introduce you to a group creating exhibitions dedicated to untold stories of moral courage. Stories that may leave you asking the question, what would you do in the same situation?
Look into these faces and you will see courage, dignity, deep compassion. They are the faces of people who risked their own lives to save others for no reason other than it was simply the right thing to do. These photographs are part of an exhibition created by the organization Proof, which uses visual storytelling to highlight human rights issues and peace building.
What overall is it that you hope people take away from these exhibitions?
Everything that Proof does is really about moral courage by using these sort of extraordinary stories of ordinary people. And all of our work is about ordinary people's voices. We're teaching that everybody can do, in a small way, in a big way, make a change through standing up against injustice, standing up against someone who's being bullied.
Take, for example, the rescuers. The people featured here are from all walks of life, but they share a strong common bond. Each of them stood up against their own to save others who were being persecuted.
So Josephine, as you can see, is a market woman. She's from the eastern part of Rwanda. She lives on Lake Kivu, and she saved a lot of people by hiding them in her house and then bringing them over in a canoe to Congo. And I asked her why she did it, and she said, I did it because I had to, and I didn't care what other people said about me. I wanted to save my neighbors. This gentleman is from Cambodia, and he was the leader of a small village in Cambodia, and during the genocide during Pol Pot, he actually went in, and right here you can see this temple was burning, and there was a group of people in the temple. There was a group of men in this temple and a group of women in the other, and they were locked in, and he managed to break in and save all these people and bring them to a safe spot. So when you look at genocide, which is what this exhibition is about, you only really think about what evil is. You don't think about, you learn about what evil. So what do you learn from evil? You absolutely learn nothing. The idea about the exhibit is what you can learn by doing good. And that's really the basis of this exhibit.
Proof's exhibitions deal with some of the world's most troubled regions, tackling taboo topics like human rights abuse and rape. Rather than have a permanent home, the exhibitions travel, yes, to museums, but also to schools, community centers, and remote villages. And though Proof documents these stories after conflicts have resolved, there is still risk for those who have stood up.
A lot of these people, we had to bring them out of their communities because it's actually dangerous for them. It wasn't dangerous for me, but it was dangerous for them to talk about their heroic deeds.
The photos themselves are powerful and haunting in their directness.
These pictures are beautiful. They draw you in. You want to look at them. You want to go in and say, what's going on? What is the story? Why are these people telling us? What is the story? So once you draw people in, then the testimony goes along with it. So there are always the words to go along with photographs. And we found that that's a very, very powerful way to bring people in. The photographers that we use are photojournalists. I like to work with photographers that are actually in the countries that we work in and not bring them. I think a lot of them are risk takers because when you shoot in countries that are under fire, that you have to be able to think on your feet, but also think on your feet visually. And the portraits are beautiful. I mean, when we choose a photographer, they have to not only be a good photojournalist, they also have to be able to take beautiful, stunning, evocative portraits.
For each project, Proof works with local organizations on the ground, traveling far and wide to document stories. Leora, whose background is as a photo editor, does all of the interviews herself, a heartbreaking but ultimately fulfilling part of her job.
It is hard when you hear these horror stories of rape and you hear these horror stories about people saving each other from being, killed. It's extremely difficult, but I do feel that the mission helps me through it.
The hope is these stories of ordinary people doing the extraordinary will inspire all of us to stand up for justice in ways big and small. I'm Carol Ann Riddell for Arts in the City.